Hi, it's Amber and Tilly, and we're here with Amber Run, interviewing them on their latest tour. How is everyone today?
Yeah, very well.
Very well, thanks. We played Rock City yesterday and released the album, so the drinks were drunk and we're feeling slightly fragile.
It must have been such a good day for you.
It was a good day.
Yeah,
I won't lie to you.
congratulations on the release of your second album.
Thank you very much.
Is it true that you all dropped out of uni to pursue the band, or
Incorrect.
incorrect?
Only it is true, but Henry's actually still studying at Nottingham. Yep.
You're still at Nottingham?
We had to pick him up from halls earlier on.
What are you studying?
Ancient history.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry, Mum.
It's not cool. It's not cool.
Wow.
Of all the degrees, it's definitely not up there
It's
with
niche.
the cool ones. But myself, Joe and Tom have all dropped out. I think. Yeah, we all dropped
Yeah.
out. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of it was a gradual thing though. So I think Joe dropped out instantly. I deferred a year, and then deferred another year. And they said I couldn't come back if I didn't come back after that. So I was like, well, I have to leave. And I think Tom did something similar.
A little bit of trivia. Will has actually dropped out of 2 different unis after his first year.
Not for lack of intelligence. The opposite, actually. It's too
Too much
lowbrow.
intelligence.
Too lowbrow. Yeah. I know.
Well, I'm very jealous. Dropping out would be great.
Well, it's all right. The problem is I still have like 30 grand's worth of student debt, and I haven't even completed first year.
And you know, I think it's an interesting one because so many people go to uni nowadays and they come out the other end and they're no better for it. Like, no offense to
I
loads
agree.
of people.
Yeah.
Like,
He said to the students.
no, I know. I mean that with respect. Some people go and they take advantage of it, and that's wicked. A lot of people just go to get drunk, and you can get drunk and not pay £30,000 for the privilege. Honestly, I do it all the time.
This is why I think, because when people say your first year doesn't count, I think work really hard in your first year, because then when you come out, they compare you to everyone else, and if you've done well in your first year, then you just look like a good person.
Well, I just think.
Anyway, we're talking about uni and not you here.
Well, I just think if you're there to do something, why don't you just do it well?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, otherwise, what's the point? Anyway.
Did you expect when you were
First.
dropping out of uni that you would have achieved as much as you have in like 4 or 5 years?
It's really funny because we talk about achievement and success quite a lot in interviews, and that's all just from the perspective of who's saying these things. Like from our perspective, we think that like our first album, what we've been doing so far, is really great, but we wouldn't say it's successful. We're not where we want to be just so yet, you know, and so you know I don't know how I feel about that kind of question. Like the last 4 years have been a lot of fun, but the next 4 years is going to be a lot more hard work and a lot more graft to get to where we actually want to be. And then maybe if we have another conversation in 4 years, then you know I'll say yes, we are successessul.
But you have
Look
achieved
at
a
my
lot.
car.
From an outsider who's not in a band, you have achieved a lot.
Thank you.
You're on your second album.
You know, and not many bands get to do that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this as well, you know, wherever it charts, whatever happens, there were moments when we didn't think we were going to record a second album, there were moments we didn't think we'd get to tour again. Yeah. So this album is a success already, regardless of, you know, the commercial side of it.
So your album was out yesterday. For a moment I was lost. When you were writing this, were you in a different place? Were you trying to achieve the same thing as your last album?
No. Not at all whatsoever. And when we did 5am, it was very much like we were signed very, very quickly to a major label who basically convinced us when we were like 19 years old that in a year's time we were going to be like the biggest band in the world, and then we should try and write, you know, radio pop hits and do that sort of thing because that's the way to, you know, be successful. And it was only after, you know, trying to get these things on radio and failing time and time again, and then inevitably getting dropped by a label that we realised, well, that was probably not the right way of going about everything, and we were misled. Whereas this time around, we're older, and I think we have a better understanding of how the industry works, and so the way we recorded the album and the whole outlook on it is completely different. Like on the first album, if we took a song to radio and they said no, we would have been hung up on it for weeks on end. Whereas now we just kind of expect them to say no, and we just, you know, if they say no, we don't really care. It's like they've always said no, so it's like we could still sell out, you know, Rock City and Nottingham and play
this one today.
Yeah, and play to, you know, over 2,000 people in London at the end of the tour, and it's like, you know, we can't really complain.
Radio 1 had you as their... Did they?
No, well, radio. Well, basically, we got on board really early on as part of BBC Introducing,
Yeah.
but that's kind of separate. It's like BBC Introducing it has its sort of place on Radio 1, but it's not like done by the people at Radio
Yeah.
1. So Radio 1 is always, we haven't really had that much success getting on Radio 1, but we're kind of at the point when we're like, well,
The BBC Introducing show was your 4th show, wasn't it? That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy when you think about it.
It was, well, it came about kind of, it was crazy at the time, and it was like, it really gave us a kick up the arse, and it was the first point that we kind of sat there and thought, well, maybe this is actually something, but,
I should drop out again.
yeah, but like I said, with the whole getting signed and everything, it happened so quickly, and, about 6 months after we got signed, we were all sitting there scratching our heads thinking, why hasn't everything gone the way it was supposed to? We didn't realise that nothing really happens the way it's supposed to in the industry. Like, if somebody says to you, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this, you say, well, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, believe it when it happens. And it's, if we had that mindset 3 years ago, I don't know where we'd be, but, we wouldn't have had the experience.
Cynical little.
Well, that's what we are. Cynical, big.
And if there were any other aspiring musicians who was going to listen to this program, you should just run a mile from the major labels and the major label system. It's like it's almost obsolete. Like, obviously there are one or two that fight their way through every year because they have a horrific amount of money spent on them. But even then, they owe the money back. And you look at the bands but you look at Spotify and you look at like all the ways that you can put out stuff by yourself now, and YouTube, and there is money there to be able to do it for a long period of time if you do it right. And labels are just kind of not in the right mentality anymore, and they're still playing the old game and not looking forward to how they can kind of adapt to
I
this
agree with that.
new age.
But we got so much from that label. Like, they didn't manage it particularly well, but we achieved so much with their help.
Yeah, okay.
So
I understand.
What label was that?
RCA Victor, part of Sony.
I think there's a place for that sort of thing, and there's some bands who absolutely flourish, but it's a 1 in 99 thing that it's gonna 1 in 99. What? Well, yeah, it's not quite 1 in 100. It's a 1 in it's a 1% chance that you'll be the band who has the success. But at the same time, it's kind of like Joe said, that if you want to be in a band and have a career, it's kind of not the way to go. Because if you look at all the best bands and all the actual successful bands, it's not like this band's just released their first album, they've got a number 1. It's like, okay, that's one level of success, but are they going to be around their 4th album? Whereas you look at people like Elbow, they've just released their 6th album, they got a number 1.
Their first ever number 1.
Second number 1.
Second
But their 4th album was like the Mercury Prize winner, or their 3rd album, and that was the one that got them all the attention. It's like Radiohead was the same. Their first album was just rubbish, and it wasn't until they did the 2nd and 3rd album, the 4th album, until they got good. And the problem is with the whole major label thing is they sign you up and they expect an instant return, and for you to know exactly what you're doing, and it doesn't work like that. Like, bands need to make mistakes, bands need to grow, and they need to understand that. You can't give a band £1 million and expect them to deliver a number 1 album, or expect them to deliver the defining work of their career, because in 3 or 4 years' time, they're going to understand a lot more about themselves, about the music they make, about the industry, and make better music for it. And not just, you can't just expect everything like that. That's why it's just broken.
Yeah. So if you find yourself constricted by a label, do you think the same applies to a genre? You find yourself constricted by expectation, or the genre that you fit into?
I think I speak for every single musician ever when I say that the genre thing is just the work of lazy journalism, and it's actually just quite frustrating, because if a band or any artist, musician starts evolving, starts moving out of the obvious telltale signs of the genre that they've been put in, it's almost, they almost get backlash, told that they shouldn't be moving out of this little box, and that's not how creativity works, is it? It's not how it works. You know, so I think it's quite limiting. For, for artists.
Yeah, like Bon Iver got so much backlash for his new album that was completely different from the other ones, just because it had like a little bit more electro in it.
Yeah, well, he's a classic example of a really talented, creative guy, and you know, I think the album's wicked. I know that some people don't like it, but I liked it a lot more than the Holocene record. Even that record's awesome as well. But you know, it's all down to perspective, really, isn't it?
Who does influence you musically then? We'll pass the mic along.
Hello.
Hello.
I mean, it varies. We all kind of bring different things to the table, I suppose. Joe's a huge fan, I guess, of sort of classic songwriting. I guess you might see that in the way a lot of the songs are written lyrically and stuff. Will and I always used to be in sort of rock music when we were younger. And Henry likes Kasabian and like what's it, Franz Ferdinand and stuff like that.
That's a favourite band.
Yeah, so that's what he brings to the table. It's useful.
Thing is, I spit bars quite often.
He doesn't spit bars. That's a lie. Yeah. I mean, more recently, bands like that, we kind of tend to look at bands like I don't know, like the Maccabees and Foals as sort of indie bands that we'd want to, you know, compare ourselves to in the future. Bombay Bicycle Club, that sort of thing.
And what's your favourite song off your latest album?
I guess it depends person to person. Mine is either No Answers, which is one of the singles we put out, or a song called Island. Mm-hmm. I think everyone might actually say Island.
Yeah. Island.
Yeah, there you go. Island's definitely up
What's
there.
the most fun one to perform, or of any of your songs?
Well, I think Mr. Keogh performed his first ever crowd surf last night.
Really? You're going to do that again tonight?
It was crowd lean, crowd.
Interrupted a girl and she was like choking and saying,
Enjoy it.
Genuinely, I was like, I'm a legend. I've jumped in. God, like,
You
look at all these people looking at me. I'm a total like rock god. And then I just heard this like poor girl like choking and like, oh man, it was brutal. So I stopped, obviously, and well, a bit of both really. But I really enjoy playing No Answers from the new album because I get to strangle girls.
Wow, there's the headline.
Moving on from that, you're from Nottingham. What's all your favourite places in Nottingham?
There's a place called Bunk, which is down in Hoxton. Yeah, down Lace Market Way. And it does wings and cocktails, and it is ludicrously cheap. Like,
Ludicrously cheap.
yeah. So that's up there. Bodega, Rescue, the usual haunts. R.I.P. Forum.
R.I.P.
God bless.
And to finish off, do you all have any advice for freshers?
New advice for freshers?
Yeah.
Jaeger bombs. Not that great.
I've got some advice for freshers. Yeah, quit now. Get out. I don't know. Just.
Don't move in with your girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do not do that.
That was a bad move.
That would seem logical. Yeah, it would seem logical. Also, don't start going out with someone that you're contracted to move in with. The two sort of go together.
Keep business and leisure separate.
There's advice for freshers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.